One enemy remaining.
Okay, I'm gonna do that thing I do on the channel where I ask everyone watching, do you stick this or do you tap it and wait for the Reyna? So last position of Reyna was over here in B. That was maybe 10 seconds ago. So it was back when Yoru was up here. He killed the Fade right here, killed Clove here, I believe, as well with the deadlock. So realistically, this Reyna could be somewhere right here now. So as Yoru, do you want to hold this or do you want to wait for Reyna to come here? I'll give you all about 3 seconds to make that decision. Okay, so before I play it out, I want to say that from my perspective, what I would do, knowing I only had 2 health, is this is such an easily spammable spot. If you have 2 health, you die to 1 bullet here. So I wouldn't actually stick this. I would tap it, and then I would move off to the left, knowing that there's a smoke here, and hold this cross with my deadlock, right? This deadlock is watching this side. If I sit here in this little corner, I can watch the left side of the smoke and also help watch this right side of the smoke. I would wait for that Reyna because this Reyna has no option but to push at this stage, either push or spam, and the spam, she's not going to know whether or not it's going to be hitting or not. And so more than likely that Reyna is going to want to push out of this smoke very aggressively, and if her crosshair is locked onto whoever might be on the spike, that's an easy kill for you in this direction because she's not going to be looking at you. So that's what I would do. Tell me what you all would do in the comments though. Look at where her crosshair is. It's hard to see her, but look at this. She's directly looking in this direction as she was moving to the left. She didn't even bother looking this direction. So again, I would have probably just tapped, stayed right here, and then shot at the Reyna as she was pushing through.
Last player standing.
Hold them to their grave.
Yeah, that's super unfortunate. I think in that instance, it's the move is to tap because she has to push. And you have so much time there to actually defuse. So again, just small little decisions like that can completely switch a round up. It would be, what, 7 to 9 now instead of 6 to 10? Today, we are finally getting back into VOD reviews instead of just yapping at my monitor. The player we're reviewing today is flip-flopping between bronze and silver and mains Yoru. I'll be covering things like utility usage, confidence building with that utility usage, and how to make sure you're fitting within the comp of your team as a duelist. Let's get into it.
Smoking in the smoke with the closet.
78.
Okay, nice shot. So right here, now that you see somebody, I would be throwing a TP back into bend because you know that one is over here in main, and you know that one is back here by back C. So realistically, what you want to be doing is making sure that you give yourself the ability to escape where necessary. I wouldn't even be playing here, to be honest, but because you are playing here, the best usage of your ability here is to try and get to back bend after you can potentially either get a trade or get the kill on the person here in main. Yep, so you get that kill, right? So imagine the alternative scenario where you did throw that TP back here. You can now comfortably come back here with your Gecko and try to get this trade off with this Reyna, who I'm assuming is going to try to get this kill on the Gecko.
Anyone else?
Flashing main.
Last player standing.
Can't hit my shots.
Yeah, it's rough.
I can't hit.
Yeah, so that was bad mechanics, but also bad decision making. I would say both of those things fell into play here. Again, like I said, having some sort of TP come back here would have given you a better position to play time, to play against this Reyna. You could have come out and peeked, you know, behind here. You could have come out and peeked back bend. This Reyna has much more work to do if you had used your utility a little bit more productively. You did use it really well, bouncing the flash off the wall here, and she was completely flashed. So all of what I'm saying is kind of moot considering you missed your shots there. So definitely work on your aim because that was a more of a bad mechanics issue than anything else there. But realistically, you had a better play that you could have done here to give your team a better advantage.
Hold on.
You have dizzy? Oh, I'm gonna break it, you send it.
No, I don't.
So I love what you're doing here. Just to be clear, this is not something that happens very regularly at lower elo. So I'm really happy that I'm seeing you calling out the utility usage of, hey, you have dizzy to send it out on site after I break this. Keep doing that. That's a really, really positive thing to do. And something that, again, I don't see a lot in lower elo, silver, gold, maybe a little bit more in gold, but in silver I don't see it often. So keep doing that.
Okay. Heading.
Okay, so that was rough. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it other than that was rough. You were moving in basically every shot that you took at that stage. Look at your shooting error. Pretty high shooting error. I think something that you should try to work on as far as your shooting error is concerned, and the way that you're taking gunfights, is how you actually take your shots, right? So the way that you were shooting here is you were moving as you were taking shots, and you got lucky with one of the headshots that you got on that stage. But I really want you to practice the very, very basic fundamentals of how to move and shoot. So you move, crosshair lock, shoot. You move, crosshair lock, shoot. Right? That's the way that you should be trying to make this work. And I wouldn't practice this in ranked, to be fair. I try to practice it in deathmatch, but it seems like when you see somebody, you get a little bit panicked and you kind of continue to shoot, and your left hand is not tied to what your right hand is doing, right? So like your left hand is not done moving, your right hand is already shooting. Whereas realistically, they should be in sync, right? You should be moving, stopping, shooting, moving, stopping, shooting. So I just want you to practice that in deathmatch. It's a very, very basic fundamental of shooting in this game specifically. And in games like CSGO, it's a little bit more complex in CSGO, but in Valorant specifically, I want you to move, stop, shoot, move, stop, shoot. And the most important part there is not just the moving, stopping, and shooting, but the crosshair lock afterwards. You need to be very intentional about how you actually aim onto the target's head. So go into a deathmatch. I wouldn't even bother with aim labs. Aim labs is not going to get you what you need. I would just go into a deathmatch and just practice that very basic concept of move, stop, lock onto target, shoot. And try to be very intentional about it. I know that sounds like such a basic idea of being intentional about it, but really it's so easy to just kind of autopilot in deathmatch and in ranked in particular when you're taking fights to just kind of move around, shoot, and not actually focus on the fact that you have to target lock on their head. That I think it gets lost a lot of the time. So I would love to see you go into a deathmatch and do that and see how that improves your aim in general. But that's what I've seen so far just in 2 rounds. Just to give you an example of me doing it in a deathmatch, I spot someone, I move without shooting, I target lock, and then I shoot. Here's another clip illustrating the same idea. One final clip. Okay, good use of util.
Careful here.
Sage is there too.
Okay, so I want to pause right here and take just a couple of seconds to think about what the actual play here is. So this is really more for the viewer here, like anyone watching. What would you actually do here? So you have a Viper wall coming in right here. You heard somebody coming from B. What, as Yoru, with the utility that you have, would you do here in order to make sure that you secure this round for your team, knowing that right now it's a 4v5? I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, so anyone that answered, I would flash through this wall by bouncing it off the floor. You are in the majority of the time correct. That is what most of the time you should do here as Yoru. It is super, super strong because they don't see your flash until it bounces off of something. So you could bounce it off of the floor here and have it go through the wall. You can bounce it off of the wall over here and have it bounce this way, and that'll actually potentially cover more ground. And again, they won't see it until this right here, if that makes any sense. So if you shoot that flash out, they won't see you shooting it out until it bounces off the wall here, and then from there that's when they start to see the flash. So it's very hard to turn, but again, you should be using your utility here. So let's see if you actually do that. Yeah, so you just dry peek into that Viper, right? Realistically, again, you should be flashing out. You win that fight, which is great, but you're not giving yourself the proper advantage as a duelist, especially Yoru with the utility that you have, right? You still have a flash here, you still have a TP here. Use that more confidently. Use that to your advantage. That's something that you want to make sure that you're utilizing more often.
She's there, Clove's there.
So look at where your Viper is now, right? So you've spotted Clove. You know that Clove is here and that Clove potentially might try to take this fight. And instead of going to fight with your Viper here in B main, you go off and try to fight this super, super long angle with this Spectre. Regardless of the gun that you have, the fight that you're going to take here is not as easy or simple as the fight that you're going to take here. So let's just assume you had a Vandal, right? If you have a Vandal here, I want you to think to yourself for a brief moment, Why is this fight not worth going for versus this fight? It's super basic. It's because you're in a 1v1 here. You have no ability to get traded out here. So regardless of what gun you have, just eliminate this variable from the equation. If you had a Spectre, a Vandal, an Op, whatever it is, this fight here is less favorable for you than this fight because of the fact that your Viper is willing and ready to take this fight. So something that I've noticed in the last few rounds is I don't think that you look at your minimap enough to really stay aware of what your team is doing. It seems like you lock in to what you're doing. And in certain instances, that's totally fine. If you're in the middle of a really, really hectic situation, that's fine. But look at where you are right now. You're all the way back here in spawn. You have plenty of time to really just come over here, look at the minimap and determine, okay, I want to fight with this Viper. This Viper is sitting here looking at this clove. We know that this clove is here. We have short range weapons. So I want to make sure that we're taking this advantage fight.
There's a phantom on body if you want that.
One main, one stairs, 93 city.
So look at your Viper here, right? You're over here looking for this fight for no reason to, like, this doesn't help your team right now, right? You know that this person was stairs, and if you don't know that, that's because you weren't looking at your minimap. Like I said, you should be looking at your minimap pretty regularly, especially if you're just sitting in spawn. But your Viper here is fighting for her life. Gecko's doing God knows what. You guys are in a 1 by 1 default right now, right? So you're just defaulted across and spread out the map. It would be much better if you had 2 people here to fight this clove. That's a much easier fight for you guys. Again, just look at your minimap, see what your team is doing, see how you can support your team as the duelist.
Time to jump.
Wait, let me get my ult back.
I'll handle this.
2 link.
Good comms.
They're just link. They're just link.
Careful here.
Did you
Okay, I'm gonna dive into the world of scaling. It's not a concept that's really used very much in Silver, if at all. But let's just kind of go through what happened that round. Gecko ulted out into B, totally fine. They got initial intel that nobody was there. Then you ulted out into B as well. I would argue that you both using your ult here was not the best use of utility, but here we are, right? You've used your ult, and now you're here in B main, just kind of sitting by default. I want you to take a moment before I recommend what I would do or what you should have done in this round to just, again, briefly try to think, where should you have stayed? So again, let's just see what you did. You scaled out here, then you saw that there were 2 or 3 people here in Broken. Then you came out here into Heaven, you saw nobody was there, and then you came over here into default. So out of these 3 spots, where do you think you should have gone, and where do you think you should have stopped your ult? If you answered anything but Heaven, in my opinion, you're incorrect. Here's why I would have stayed in Heaven. If you stay right here in Heaven, where you know nobody is, right? You just cleared essentially all of this right here, this little section right there. So if, you know, worst case scenario, they still are somewhere back here, they would have to work their way to you, and that would take a little bit of time. But if you're here in Heaven and you make the audio cue that you're here in Heaven, it makes it much more difficult for the people that you see tree to come out because they know that somebody's in Heaven. That's not to say that they can't come out. That's just to say that you have the ability to essentially keep them all past this line on this side right here. So they have to stay over here because you have flashes to flash them out, which pushes them back in. You have your Yoru clone, which again, you can throw out, pushes them back in. And then that's not to mention earlier in the round, you threw this right here. You threw a teleport. So let's say you do get into trouble here. You can teleport out safely. You know you have it. You still have a good bit of time on your teleport. And let's say you're not in trouble. You can fake the teleport, and now they don't know whether or not you're actually still in Heaven, right? So you can continuously keep checking here to make sure nobody's pushing from that direction. You can continuously pressure the people here in Broken to make sure they don't push out for your team. And that gives your team the capability to actually plant and hold the site correctly, right? So again, look at where your team is. You have your Viper here holding Broken. You have Deadlock looking at a smoke for some reason, and then you've got Gecko, who presumably is going to be looking in this direction. You want to make sure, if your Omen is over here, you want to make sure that you can control as much of this area as possible so that your Viper has an easier time taking these fights as well, right? This is just a simple trade mechanic at this stage.
I'm back.
Deadlock you wall?
I can't get on the site.
Oh my bad.
So not UTP, but again, look what's going on. You have them comfortably coming out of broken here because you're not here to pressure them, right? Look at how easy these fights are, right? You've got 3 people bunched up looking at broken. If you're looking this direction, the people coming out of that smoke, they're dead instantly, right? Like of course, Viper did get the pick on the Lorena, which is great, but this is easy Yoru territory right now. You ult, you stay in heaven. After you clear that area, you keep that pressure, and you guys win this round no matter what happens. I'm sure you win the round either way, but you're going to win this round no matter what if you stay in heaven there.
Careful.
One heaven.
86 on fade.
Player
Okay, you maybe don't win this round either way.
NT.
Rash is going.
NT. Wait.
Handle.
NT.
Okay, so you definitely win this round if you had just stayed in heaven.
Careful here.
One's probably like. Let me set my clone in. Don't push him.
Decoy.
Well done.
So here, use a flash, TP, like bounce a flash off the wall here into this direction. Just use something to get your team out into A, right? That's what I want to see from you. Going forward, like any VOD review I do of you in the future, I want to see your utility almost exhausted by the time you guys get onto site. Because realistically, that's what Yoru's kit is meant to do. Like, it's meant to take the space aggressively, and then you can keep it, right? Of course, if you still have anything after you take the space, great. But like, don't take space just with your gun, right? That is not how you're going to be taking space as Yoru. You need to be using your flashes. You need to be using your teleports. You did use your clone here to take control of tree. I love that. Now take advantage of the fact that you have more utility and take aggressive space of A here as well with your flashes and your TP.
No flashing.
I love that. Okay, why didn't you flash?
Nice pick.
Omen keys.
Just wasn't on.
Okay, so COD reloads are real. You could get the trade here, right? So she's like, that fade is like right here, maybe a little bit more to the left. And I think if I was looking at this correctly, you had maybe 20 bullets. That's plenty to kill this fade over here. I want to see less COD reloading. That's something that I see a lot in Silver, and I noticed throughout this VOD as well. Make sure that you are not always reloading, especially with the Spectre, after you either get a kill or if you don't really need to, right? Just be cognizant of the fact that you have 30 bullets. That's plenty of bullets to kill at least 2 people.
Monkey smoke. Drop.
Careful
I
here.
have to see.
Go on.
Smoke. We're happening.
I can shoot.
This is just a minor nitpicky thing. I would have flashed a little bit higher, so bounce it straight down so that it comes out from the top of the smoke instead of from the side of the smoke. The reason being, if you throw that flash out, I think your flash landed like somewhere right here. That fade that's back sight is not going to get hit by that flash realistically, right? So there's not that big of a difference between this X and flashes right here for somebody playing back sight. But there is a massive difference between these two X's for somebody that's playing right here. So I just want to show you, like, a common spot to play is right here. Their field of view is going to be blocked right here. So that flash that you threw doesn't really do much for this person back here. And it doesn't do anything for this person back here because it's completely blocked off by this wall, right? So you want to just throw it a little bit higher so that you get as much coverage as possible with your flash so that you can confidently come out and swing. Again, nitpicky thing, but it is something to take note of as a Yoru if you want to get more comfortable with this kit.
Idiot.
Okay. Love that.
Oh my god.
And again, you were reloading. So let's see how many bullets you have. You have 20 bullets. It took you 10 to kill that fade through the smoke without seeing her. You don't think that with 20 bullets, you can swing this again and get that kill on the clove that you had over here? Again, it's just a minor thing, but that minor thing is the difference between you winning rounds confidently and scaling your economy, or losing rounds like the last round where you made a slightly poor decision that cost your team the game, or the round rather, when you really shouldn't have lost that round at all, right? And I don't know if you win this round or lose this round either, but you shouldn't be reloading right now. That's just not a thing that you should be doing. COD reloading is something that you need to break the habit of. It takes a while, I'll be honest, but try to be intentional about that in your games now.
Sending clone in.
Decoy.
We should push after. Okay, one spread there.
You should push up, right? This is all on you right here. You need to be pushing up here and getting your team into backbend. You know somebody's there. Flash back here and make sure that your team can confidently push in behind you.
Flashing to the right.
So look at what just happened, right? You know somebody's backbend because they shot your clone. Your gecko pushes out instead of you, and you flashed off to the right and it's walled. You're not confident with Yoru's kit. You have to get more confident with his ability to aggressively push people and get them off of angles with his blinds. He's got 3 different blinds. I mean, that is something that people don't take advantage of enough as Yoru. And realistically, I want to see you take advantage of that.
Spike down. C.
Look at what just happened. I mean, you did it there, right? Like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Your kit, instant kill on the Viper. That Viper she's completely lost when you are the one that's taking that gunfight, because you have the utility to take that gunfight in a favorable way for you. So instead of your I forget who it was your gecko who died right here, and then your Viper who dies right here. Instead of those 2 deaths happening, this is a 5v2 or maybe a 4v2 if you take these fights initially. Look at how simple this is. You know that somebody's back there, right? You threw your little clone, it got shot out, right? Once it gets shot out, great. I'm pushing. Dead. You could do this and I guarantee you would still win that fight, right? That's the power of Yoru, especially at lower ranks, with someone who's confident with that utility. You know somebody's there, you can throw a flash there, throw a flash here. There's 0 world where that Viper does anything to you. And now you're in a 5v2, 5v3. You guys can confidently plant. Again, it's one of those things that's so often overlooked when people in silver or gold or bronze come to VOD reviews. They think, yeah, my aim might just not be good enough. And your aim doesn't mean anything if you're not using utility to get you into a position where your aim is not the difference, right? That's the big thing, right? Like, over time, your aim's going to improve, right? As you get better naturally and organically, right? Like, your aim will improve. What you need to be focused on more often than not is game sense and utility usage with that game sense.
Watch out, Raiden might Vicky.
Yeah.
So I want you to understand what just took place here, and please try and keep an open mind about what's happening here. You are baiting here, right? Not intentionally, obviously, but the way that you are allowing the gecko to take the space instead of wanting to take the space yourself is by definition baiting of your gecko. You're letting him go first, and then you are trying to get the trade off of him. So as he clears the space, you're taking that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. The struggle is it should be flipped. You should be the first one in line, and Gecko should be following you up, because his utility, like I've said a bunch of times, is more important in the post plant than your utility is.
I'm gonna also
Look at how your Gecko just looked at you. He just looked at straight over here like, all right, what are you gonna do? Like, I need you to push, right? That's your job. Your job is to come out here and take these aggressively. If you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that type of play style. You just do not need to be playing Yoru if that's the case, right? You need to be the one that's confident and pushing, using your utility. Look at everything you have. You still have everything, right? I'm not saying you have to waste it right now, but you do want to make sure that you're using that utility and that you're not utilizing your other teammates as the ones that are taking space. That's your job.
to be for info.
That was
What?
really embarrassing.
Spike down. B.
Okay, great trades. I'm happy that that happened. Again, you should have been the one that died here, and your Gecko should have been the one getting the trades, but I'll give it to you. Good trades.
14.
I'm 16.
Okay. Okay, same thing.
Literally the same thing.
Decoy.
Again, baiting, right? Neither of these should be the ones ahead. You should be ahead. Like you should be over here. You should be the omen in front, right? That's your goal. Make sure that you're confident and that you're the one taking the space first.
And I love net.
Flashing to the right.
105, babe.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want right there, straight up. I want you to do that every time, every single time, every round. You see a smoke, flash out. You see another smoke back here, flash out. Take the space. Make it so that it's more difficult for the defending team to actually defend, right? You have so much utility to be able to take advantage of all of that, that I want to see that more from you. Exactly what you just did.
Back off. Gun here.
Yes, yes, yes. So again, great. Like, good job. You took the space and now you're holding it. This is exactly what I want to see from you as a Yoru. Yes, there was nobody here in upper or in heaven, but you took the space confidently. You know why? Because you flashed out this direction, so you felt comfortable pushing it because you felt if you pushed it, they would be flashed, right? That's his whole kit. His whole kit is giving you the ability to be confident in your ability to take space. And right now, where you're holding, this is perfect. This is exactly what you need to be doing, right? You have somebody holding flank here. You have somebody holding this right here. You have Omen holding this right here. You have a wall right here. And then this is the only remaining hole that needs to be filled. And that's what you're doing right now, which is great. Like, I need to see this every round from you. Take the space confidently with your utility, and then hold it for your team and let your team do the rest of the work, right? Once you've taken that space, once you've gotten a pick, once you've established your control on a certain specific choke point on the site, at that point, it's let your team continue the push. Let your team plant the spike. Let your team hold the other angles. And then from here on out, it's an easy win for you guys, or it should be at least. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but it should be a win.
Shadows traveling.
Bro, I have a boo-boo.
Careful here.
One enemy
flank.
remaining.
Heaven.
This is great. Just hold. Be patient.
Cover going out. Careful here.
Yes. Good job, man. Great job.
Sniper, but I was afraid
It's exactly what I want to see from you.
to turn around.
So defensive Yoru is a lot different. Your TP, so I saw you thinking about throwing out your TP, it should be over on A instantly. In any 3-map site, the power of Yoru, so you'll see this a lot with Pro League. The good thing about Yoru is his ability to take contact, show presence, and then back out and go somewhere else. In Pro League, it's becoming a little bit less of a thing because a lot of teams will see that and recognize that most Yorus will probably TP out to the other site just to kind of fake that they're on one site. But in Silver, dude, take advantage of that, right? Use your TP instantly before the round starts, like at the, maybe 10-second mark. Throw it all the way over here or learn some lineups that'll get it over here. Show presence here into C. And then depending on how many you see, or maybe you see none of them, now you have an easy way to get over to A and help your team over on A. Because usually, I would say statistically, most people are going to go either A or C first round. So you can cover both sides here. You can show presence, see who's here, and then just boop, TP right over to A.
I'm just gonna jump peek it in like 5 seconds.
I
Nothing.
believe it's A.
Yeah, so look at how many people on A. This is another thing that you should do. Change your minimap settings so that you can see all of the minimap on the on the little circle. So there's a setting that lets you zoom it out and take off the centering. Or you can keep the centering, but just kind of zoom it out a little bit so you can see everybody. But here, you can see 3 of them right there, right? If you see 3 of them and you had your TP over here by A, instant rotate. Now you've got a 2v3 and you can potentially support the person that's on site here, which is the Gecko, right? Again, it's something that I notice in every single round on defense. Just make sure that you're doing that every single round.
Are you sure it's A?
115 on Reyna.
Yes.
Pulse me down.
Cutting through.
What did you? What?
Yeah, so you could have, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? You could have been here like 3 years ago, and you could have held this for your gecko while your gecko is focused over here. And that Viper never gets to kill on the gecko because she never scales in to underneath heaven, right? That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about that makes a huge difference in the round for you. If you had your TP already set up, let's say maybe like on this box right there, and you instantly TP'd, and now all you have to do is do exactly what you're doing now, which is hold this space, let your gecko hold the left. You guys probably win this round. I would argue that you guys probably win this round, right? You have to hit your shots, of course, but at the end of the day, it gives you a better fight and a better chance of winning this game if you use your utility here correctly.
Spike down A.
I should aim for the head more. 90.
So again, not using your TP for A. You should be using it. You see everybody over there, you'd already be TP'd over, right?
Play back, play back.
2.5.
Hold down.
Time to jump.
I'm gonna flash her. You gonna peek gecko? Flashing in 3, 2, 1.
I love those comms, right? Those are great comms, great idea. Like that's something I want to see from you more often, especially as the leader of the pack, right? Somebody who's the duelist, you should be doing that more often, is calming what your plan is.
Decoy.
Great usage of utility. This is what I'm talking about here. Look at how much easier these fights are for you when you use your utility. Look at how much more confidently you peek this angle here. When you flash out, when you Yoru TP out, or your clone is out, you have so much more confidence when you use it. I want to see that more from you.
You're done.
Hold down.
I still hate the COD reload. You didn't need to reload there.
One enemy remaining.
Good job. Look at where your Viper is. You should be flashing straight through this wall and pushing with your Viper. This is like confidence building 101. You've just gotten 2 picks. You have a Vandal in your hand now. You have them pinched in one specific spot and you know where they are. Just flash through this wall and show this Viper that you're better than them, period. That's it. That's all you have to do. I want that confidence.
Idiot.
Oh my god.
Reyna's B.
Decoy.
Again, notice how much more confidently you swing out when you use your utility. I'm just saying, it's happened a few times now. You use your utility, you swing out very confidently, and that's exactly what you should be doing. You don't know if this person's here or here. I believe that they're actually right here, but it makes a huge difference when you use a flash, a clone, because Yoru's entire kit is geared around this idea of being more aggressive and confidently being able to swing out because the enemy is impaired. So keep doing it.
One enemy
Nice.
remaining.
Okay, I'm gonna do that thing I do on the channel where I ask everyone watching, do you stick this or do you tap it and wait for the Reyna? So last position of Reyna was over here in B. That was maybe 10 seconds ago. So it was back when Yoru was up here. He killed the Fade right here, killed Clove here, I believe, as well with the deadlock. So realistically, this Reyna could be somewhere right here now. So as Yoru, do you want to hold this or do you want to wait for Reyna to come here? I'll give you all about 3 seconds to make that decision. Okay, so before I play it out, I want to say that from my perspective, what I would do, knowing I only had 2 health, is this is such an easily spammable spot. If you have 2 health, you die to 1 bullet here. So I wouldn't actually stick this. I would tap it, and then I would move off to the left, knowing that there's a smoke here, and hold this cross with my deadlock, right? This deadlock is watching this side. If I sit here in this little corner, I can watch the left side of the smoke and also help watch this right side of the smoke. I would wait for that Reyna because this Reyna has no option but to push at this stage, either push or spam. And the spam, she's not going to know whether or not it's going to be hitting or not. And so more than likely that Reyna is going to want to push out of this smoke very aggressively. And if her crosshair is locked onto whoever might be on the spike, that's an easy kill for you in this direction because she's not going to be looking at you. So that's what I would do. Tell me what you all would do in the comments though.
Blink. Okay.
Look at where her crosshair is. It's hard to see her, but look at this. She's directly looking in this direction as she was moving to the left. She didn't even bother looking this direction. So again, I would have probably just tapped, stayed right here, and then shot at the Reyna as she was pushing through.
Last player standing.
Two ball.
Yeah, that's super unfortunate. I think in that instance, it's the move is to tap because she has to push. And you have so much time there to actually defuse. So again, just small little decisions like that can completely switch your round up. It would be what, 7 to 9 now instead of 6 to 10. I appreciate you all watching as always. Would love to hear what feedback you have for this player and if there are things you agree or disagree with. If you haven't already and you've made it this far, please consider subscribing if you love the content or give it a thumbs up to help with engagement. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you all in the next one.